door to the locker swings open easily. What? Huh?
No, bro, take your tower. They've adjusted for you, brother.
Welcome everybody to MogTalk. If you guys are unfamiliar with MogTalk, a show based around the Final Fantasy XIV community, discussing everything from Savage Raiding to Chocobo Racing. Today is August 30th, 2025, and we are going to be just talking about general information over the last month. It's been a while. It's been about a month before or since I've had a show. I've been very busy in other projects with events and everything else, but I wanted to get the show out there because there's a lot of stuff to talk about and I haven't had a chance to do it. So I brought on two amazing guests, and I know we're going to get memed on for the cat girl anime avatar, but welcome to Final Fantasy XIV. Oh, the two amazing guests here are Meoni. Ha!
Yes,
Meoni and
finally.
Rinon. I did it. I dropped the L. Meoni, can you tell everybody who you are?
Hi, I'm Meoni. I do YouTube videos and sometimes stream on Twitch and cover everything from news content to, well, everything really on Final Fantasy XIV. And yeah, hi. There's a lot to talk about today, isn't there?
There's a whole lot. And hold on, I have something to follow that up with, but I'm going to wait until we introduce Rinon. Rinon, tell everybody who you are.
Yo, hello everyone. My name's Rinon. I'm an FF14 primarily YouTuber. I make videos about the game's past, present, and I suppose the future as well. Lovely to chat with you all today.
Yeah, you too. Now, I was just going to say, most of the things that we talked about, you guys have probably already made a YouTube video on it, talked about.
Yeah, mostly.
Yeah, but I appreciate having you guys come on and discuss your opinions here with us all together, and I think this is gonna be a lot of fun. It's stuff that I've been aching to speak on. I just haven't had the time for it, and I'm trying something new. By the way, side note, with the overlay here for the show, with how we do the light ups on when people are talking and everything else, I think it's gonna be a little bit better than what we did. It already looks kind of clean. Your pictures are both very beautiful and very well done, so it looks really crisp to me. But we'll see how it goes. But first, again, we're going to be talking about Fanfest. We're going to be talking about Yoshida's messages on mods. We're going to be talking about all these little bits of news that have come out just randomly over the last, I guess, couple of weeks. But first, let's talk about Fanfest, because this is the piece of information that we were waiting on for 4 months. I think we're expected it maybe 4 months ago, maybe 3 months ago, and now it finally came out. But they skipped over it, both live letters in between then and now, and did it for kind of like an anniversary special message. That's kind of weird they took so long for it, but I guess they were just running into issues with contracts and finalizing things. I don't know, what do you guys think?
I feel a little bit rough for Square Enix, actually. I feel like they've had to be blunt, a bloody shit show of it all, really, haven't they? They've had a bit of a rough time because, so people have been waiting for the FanFest announcement for months, if not a year. The FanFest announcement comes in. I think it's April in America, and then it's July in EU, and then October into November in Japan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes, that's right.
instead of being excited for what is obviously an exciting event, obviously the immediate thought leads, where is the timeline for the next expansion from there?
Yeah.
And because there was no communication initially from Square Enix, everybody thinks, okay, so last expansion, it was like 4 months after the final FanFest, I believe, 3 or 4 months, something like that, to the expansion launch. So it's not coming out till 2027, and it takes until 24 hours later where Square Enix clarify things and try to kind of assure people that no, that's not the case. I kind of feel like that kind of level of things being misconstrued or miscommunication has kind of followed Square Enix quite unfortunately for all of 2025 so far.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what's going on like the back end of all this stuff though. Like, if it was announced earlier and these FanFest were a little bit earlier, that'd be great. But I mean, it still doesn't seem absolutely unreasonable. I usually think FanFest comes out around the 0.4 patch, doesn't it? Like, the NA FanFest usually happens around the 0.4 patch. The only reason I remember this, and maybe I'm wrong, but I just remember going to the 2016 FanFest in North America, and for those who are as old as some of us in the world race and everything else, that was around the creator, I think that was the creator race, and the team that from NA that has won back to back like multiple times was hoping for a clean sweep, and they didn't get it. And the EU team came in and beat them at the very end, and it was this somber feeling over at FanFest because of it. So I remember this actually pretty clearly. It was because it was the last tier, which would have been 0.4. So, but does that line up, or am I just imagining it and it's that one situation?
I think it lines up, yeah.
Yeah,
from what I can
I don't think the
internet.
timeline is like super weird from what you would expect. I think this is semi-expected now, honestly.
Yeah.
Is it just the perception of Dawn Trail itself that makes people, even like it's dredging on even more than it normally would, perhaps?
Probably. I mean, like, man, Dawn Trail's had it rough, dude.
Yeah.
It sucks because, like, it's been not a horrible expansion. I have my issues with a handful of things, but I don't think I've ever had well, Shadowbringers was pretty good, but I mean, that's the one they skipped the extra ultimate in, right? Or we're all expecting that extra ultimate and we didn't get it, and so we're a little sad. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like it hasn't been that bad.
Yeah, the duty content seems to be on point. Like I didn't think it was particularly bad. I think it hasn't been a natural sort of step up. Maybe it's just kind of more of the same, apart from maybe in the Arcadian, obviously. But yeah, it's. I think people are just wanting something new, right? I think that's if you saw a lot of the duty content as bad, perhaps you're just wanting something different, and I think a lot of people probably want the same thing, really, them to just come up with some new ideas. And there are some other points on your talking point list today of content that is changing in the future. So there's some positives. Hopefully they can branch out a bit, maybe do something different.
Yeah, and this all came out.
I suppose to glaze Dawn Trail for a moment. One thing I do have to say that's positive about it, I think the current raid tier Cruiserweight, personally, for me, is easily the best raid tier they've released since 2020. It is far and above anything in Endwalker, and I would say better than the final tier of Eden as well. I really like that raid tier. I think it's really good. I think it challenges players, particularly in M6S, in a way they haven't been challenged in a while. It isn't scared to allow them to fail by it being super fast, but at the same time, it isn't quite as punishing and instant wipe statey as Endwalker raids were. I think it's a really good raid. Obviously, I think there are other parts of the expansion that are maybe not quite as strong and definitely easily a subject of debate, but at least in terms of battle content, I think they have made some really good pieces of content this expansion that I like, at least.
Yeah. I mean, all the actual like content I really cared about has been doing pretty good. I mean, like, I do care about the story. I do follow up with everything, and like, I wasn't a fan with how the expansion storyline felt pretty boring, but I did also 24-hour it, right? And just like force myself to read every single thing and go through it in like the best experience I could in such a condensed moment, though, which probably isn't the best way to do it. And I didn't like a lot of pieces of that early story, which I think gets criticized by a lot of people all the time. But it wasn't that it was bad, it just didn't click for me. It wasn't as interesting for me. And I feel like that started this whole like negative spiral from the community, that and a few other things, I guess. And like, it's just so easy to like pick apart everything at this point. If they trip up, you're like, these assholes messed up again, right? We kind of ignore some of the really good stuff, because I really don't. You guys are a lot more in the raiding scene, like actively talking to a lot of other raiders and everything else. Most of them, I would assume, are happy with the raid and the PvE content and everything else, right?
I think it's a complex issue, right?
Okay.
Because
okay, maybe I'm wrong with that assumption.
like, okay, so I think that a decent amount of the premier raiding content that they release is very good in the game, but I think that FF14 has some fairly systemic problems that, at least in my opinion, root from job design that end up having a knock-on effect on how people enjoy and replay content in this game, right? So when those things are not resolved or looked into, it eventually has the effect that a lot of the content in the game becomes one and done, and people don't want to go in again and do them on another role. Or even the initial progression itself is less enjoyable just because they're not playing a job that they enjoy, because they don't enjoy the jobs. Obviously, that is somewhat of just a maybe the game isn't for you anymore issue, right?
Yeah,
but
it's like a
part of
subjective
it is
thing.
definitely hinged on design.
I like how we just started talking about FanFest and we ended up in the state of the
Might
game. No, it's not your fault. It's just how the conversation evolved, because I mean, like,
Snowballed.
it's one of those things. We're talking about FanFest. Why are people upset all the time? And it always comes back to the current state of the game. I mean, like, if people were super, like, if this was Shadowbringers, I kind of feel like people would be okay even with this extra little bit of time between the FanFest announcement, things coming out, and everything else. I don't feel like it would have been that big of a deal, but I feel like we've had this whole negative like press and negative everything about the game since Dawn Trail was released, that everyone's just in that kind of mood to like not be happy with things. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
No, I don't think you're
No,
wrong at
I
all. And I
agree.
think it gets worse every week. There's always something new, be that bloody modding or whatever else that hits the news, you know?
Jeez.
It's just a spiral.
I can tell you one thing about a previous FanFest, and I can't remember, was it 2016 or 2018? I think it was 18, where this guy got so much shit because he came in and talked about online brothels in the media, like the media question
I
section.
remember that.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, and I feel like we're kind of circling back into like the whole explicit like issue of what's happening with the game and its players and everything else. And I'm like, God damn, dude. It's become such a big deal. But like, I mean, we'll get to mods in a second, but let's finish up FanFest. I'm all over the fucking place right now. But FanFest, they announced it, and it was announced, I feel like they would have announced it in the last live letter, but it just, the things weren't completely official then. And so they made this extra message that they tagged on for it. Because I thought they're going to do an anniversary special message, and it was going to be this long 30-minute, I don't know, 40-minute message or something. But it was just like 5 minutes of, hey guys, you're all wonderful, here's FanFest.
It did feel like it was up to the last minute before they knew what they were going to do. So they had like maybe something else prepared and then went, actually, let's save that. Now we've got confirmation from the person that we're dealing with that we can confirm these dates or something. It did feel a little bit like that, even in the editing.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, I'm happy that we got it.
Are you excited to not, burn to death in the desert this time, you know?
I'm going to give you a secret. Like, I burn to death in the desert as my standard living situation. So it's like not that bad for me. Although it was really hot. I still have my IRL video of me walking around Vegas for like 7-8 hours or so, or however long that video was. And it was pretty rough. I don't mind Vegas, but Vegas is fine if it's in like November, December, that kind of like area where it's cooler and everything else. In the middle of summer is pretty bad. But I imagine the prices are way cheaper for doing a convention in the middle of the summer in Vegas, which might have been one of the reasons why that happened. But I don't know. I don't work for Square Enix. I can't tell you.
It certainly looked, if you compared, I mean, the previous FanFest, EU certainly got the better venue, in comparison, like in terms of interactable activities, and it was next level. And there was so many people in the comment section of a video I did going, where was this in the US? We got nothing. Like,
there was just some crazy stuff happening with last NA FanFest, and the creator communication was completely different between the two different events too, and everything else. And so I don't know. Again, I don't know enough to criticize what was going on, but it was sad. It was sad in comparison. I mean, you guys had some really cool shit. Like, they brought on like Alex and Husky on stage. They did all kinds of really super involved stuff. And I'm hoping that bleeds over to NA for this year too, or not this year, but this next FanFest. Yeah. And so I do think that lessons probably have been learned. I always assume that, because what else am I going to do? Assume the worst? I'm here forever. I can't leave. I'm stuck in Final Fantasy XIV content creation for the rest of my life. That's just what I do now.
Yeah. And if you try to do anything else, people will go straight to the comment section and tell you, what is this? This isn't 14. What are you doing? Yeah, that happens. FanFest, super hyped for it though. Even though things have been a bit rocky, I'm excited for it. Especially to go back to Germany.
Yeah. When was the last one in Germany? Was that recent? I completely forget. No.
It was London last time. Germany was
that Battle on the Bridge.
Has it been, Ren?
Germany was the Dawntrail Media Tour for Berlin. But
for FanFest.
I don't remember. I've never actually been to a FanFest before.
No?
Have you not?
So I don't actually remember where any of them are. But what I can say about the upcoming one, Berlin in the middle of July, rough.
Is it?
It's nowhere near as bad as the previous American one, but my lord, it is a humid place to be. I think the European people might be the people complaining most about the heat this time around.
I think, I think it might have been the first FanFest that was the first EU FanFest. 2015?
Yeah, 2000. Is it 15? Oh my goodness. That's a long time ago.
Previous.
No, that was in Iceland, I think. Yeah, no, that was Well, wait, no. Sorry, that was Eve Online. Sorry, it got mixed up. Google fucked up. Sorry. London No, it was London. It was like a one-day fan fest in London for the 2014 one. And it was a little bit weird. I don't know. I feel like it's been in Germany before, but maybe that was just a media tour.
Thought it had.
And I got it all mixed up. I would like to go to Germany.
Apparently 2017 FanFest was in Frankfurt, Germany. I just looked it
there
up.
we go.
That was it. Okay, it was that one, because I went to the 2019 one in Paris.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. I don't know if I saw you there.
Paris.
Paris wasn't too bad. It was like a big hallway. Okay.
Yeah, just Paris. Just Paris in general.
Paris. Oh, fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
not a fan.
Okay, besides the humidity and the heat for Germany, is it a pretty good location? Does it look like it's a good spot to go? No.
Yeah, it's nice. It's lovely.
It's an industrial estate area. It's not. It's got none of the heart and soul of the rest of Germany. And I asked my German friend what his first reactions were. It is shit. Why did they not do this in Cologne? I was like, good point, I guess. He was like, there's nothing there. I was like, oh, but you can show us around,
I like
right?
Berlin. I like Berlin a lot. I used to live in Berlin. It's got a really good food scene. There's a lot of cool things to do around.
Okay.
Don't know how close they are to the venue, though.
Okay.
quite a ways. If you look on Google Maps and you go for, what is it called, the Mesa Hub, is it 17 or 27? I forget what the thing was. Hold on. It literally is just, I mean, there's a I don't know if I'm allowed to say what's next to it, actually. I don't know.
Would you not be allowed to say what's...
A place that you go for certain services.
Oh, that'd be
from
great.
A
people.
brothel.
That'd be great.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's a really high class one as well. I don't know if you... Because I was on Google Maps and I was like, what is next to this? Is there a pizza place? It's like, oh no, there's a brothel. Okay, what kind of brothel are we talking about? And it was like, they've got like a restaurant in there, like a naked spa. I was like, oh, you could have a slice of pizza and, you know, a dip in the water, maybe. I don't...
Could you imagine like some a group of Final Fantasy 14 players contacting them to do a collaboration?
The thing is, though, FanFest always gets to the point where you're looking for the last place that has a booking free on hotels. That is classed as a hotel and a brothel. So technically, you could book that for FanFest. And there will be a moment in time where there will be everywhere else booked out for the, like 4 miles away. They'll have to. There will be people that go to FanFest that stop in that brothel. There will be.
Oh my goodness. I actually had no clue about this, but thank you for letting me know.
You thought the story about Squapes were alarming from the previous FanFest. You know about that.
I don't know.
No, where they had to go on they were handing out notices basically to say not to use the Squapes as a sex aid. Because people were putting
I did hear about this.
Grapes.
Okay,
Yes.
This is bringing something back. Yeah, thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate
they
that.
were
It was gone in my
misusing
head, and I wasn't thinking about that at all. I probably wouldn't have thought about it at all again for the rest of my life. But thank you.
welcome.
You put it back in my head, and I gotta remember it. So
You're more than welcome. This community is very diverse.
oh, what a show. Well, I'll let you know the NA1 in Anaheim is actually in a pretty good spot. It's just expensive for hotel stays because it's right next to Disneyland.
Isn't it where BlizzCon takes place, or at least it used to?
TwitchCon has been there. I've been there for TwitchCon before. I think BlizzCon goes over there too. It's a pretty big area. I can only imagine they're going to do part of the convention center. They can't do the whole thing. I mean, probably same thing with the Vegas Convention Center, right? They were just going, it was the Vegas Convention Center. They only do like a section of it. I can't imagine them taking up the whole thing. But it's a nice spot. It's just I can't imagine being able to. A lot of people are going to get priced out of FanFest. Just it's expensive for going and staying over there in the hotels over there. People are still going to try to get tickets though, and they haven't announced how they're going to do tickets.
Oh boy, lottery systems, please no.
You know what my opinion is on how they should do tickets? And this is because I've played the game for a while.
/ playtime.
Yeah. It involved
Who's played the longest?
the active accounts get first dibs, and then the ones that are not active get dibs after that, or whatever. Just like the longest playtime gets the first dibs, it just goes down the line.
So our peers would have a significant advantage there, AFKing in Limsa every day.
Well, maybe not playtime, but just account creation time.
What
and
about
active
we go off
subscription.
of like achievements, like who has cleared the previous tier?
That would be pretty
What
good.
if we really piss people off and make it, if you have a house in FF14, you get first tips.
Holy shit, dude. You guys are actually proposing a pretty good idea, because you know how relics used to be kind of like, hey, here, go do some old content. What if they linked like how much stuff you've done in the game and try to revitalize content by saying you'll get tickets to FanFest, or at least you'll get the option to buy them. depending on how much content you do, here's like your
Achievement
right
unlocked. It comes up on the actual screen. Achievement unlocked. You've got to FanFest.
Yeah,
I'm just imagining
challenge
a
log for
0.1%
FanFest
drop
tickets.
with a FanFest ticket from fucking Occult Crescent. You get a FanFest drop from the chest.
It would bring the game
my
to life,
Lord.
though, dude. Like, so many people would be doing it. So many scalpers would be out there going hardcore with
The
it. And
bots would be insane. Yeah.
oh man, that would be
Definitely
interesting. Definitely
interesting.
Yeah. But I don't know. We have April. It's going to be the first one, and now that I think about it, it is like a couple of months longer than I guess what you would expect. But like, April over there should be pretty good weather for NA. It's going to be hot for you guys, and then I think what was the JP one? What date was that?
That was
October
in
to
October.
November.
Okay.
Yeah, right at the end of October.
And we're expecting 7.5 to happen in like May, right?
Yes.
Mayish, yeah.
It should be very end of April, early May, theoretically, probably, maybe.
Yeah. And so when that happens, that's the rest of the game except for 7.55, which will be like another story bit to kind of carry us on. And we're going to be dealing with Ultimate likely, which is, it's such a scary thought because this has been the conversation forever. Is like if they do Ultimate like in 7.5, you only have so many months to really get that full experience before it gets kind of fairly, I guess, nerfed in a way, right? When you get the different gear sets of different characters, and with the battle system completely fucking changing, maybe it's gonna be kind of weird. It'll feel very time exclusive for that Ultimate.
I do think regarding Ultimate though, obviously this is the opinion of a nasty, evil, elitist hardcore raider, so it doesn't apply to everybody. But
Sure,
I think that theoretically, Ultimate releasing near the start and at the end of an expansion is better for everybody. First of all, it helps avoid burnout of players. These progressions are often coming up on a week long. They're very tiring. They require time off work. Not ideal to do back to back with Savage in between. Having a break in between is pretty nice. Getting like one a year at most is pretty nice. Secondly, the 0.5 patch is the longest patch, which means that players that are doing 2 or 3 evenings a week, they get more time to be able to clear on content without having to worry about there is a Savage tier coming out in 3 months' time and we have to clear before then, or we have to make an awkward decision as to which one to do. All of these things are not issues, but what is an issue is that the last time they said this would happen, they delayed it into the next expansion, which kind of like overarches everything else.
Yeah.
Oof. Worst case scenario, you don't get an Ultimate and you have nothing to do for an entire year. Oh boy.
I mean, that would be pretty rough. I mean, we'll talk about that in a second. But going back to like the time range of FanFest and everything else, we'll be, if we say JP FanFest is happening in October and he said sooner than we expect, what is sooner than we expect? Is that December?
January
I think
expansion?
it's December, January, yeah.
I mean, January makes the most sense because like December feels like it would be a horrible time to release an expansion.
What do you mean, like when they release Chaotic on Christmas Eve?
On Christmas Eve, yeah.
Yeah, hope my stream just fucked up. Hold on, hopefully it comes back in just a second.
No.
I mean, like I see messages from everybody still. Oh man, now I'm like panicking about the BBB event again. But can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, we can, yeah.
So is this just Twitch? Because if I didn't disconnect and I'm able to see everyone in chat talking, it looks like we're back now. I think that was a Twitch issue because we had no issues on our end. I mean, my camera got a little stuttery or something for a second, but it wasn't too bad. You guys might have to refresh your browsers. Now I gotta cut this out again. This is all the editing.
The joys.
All right. Well,
so where were we up to?
we were talking about the timeline of releasing of content and kind of how that all matches up and when we expect the expansion to be released. Everybody was freaking out because they thought maybe it would be late spring, I guess, for the expansion release, according to how it would line up for the FanFest release. But if they say sooner than we expect, the proper, like, going with the content, like how between 7.5, like the 0.5 patch and the expansion release is usually like 9 to 10 months, isn't it?
Something ridiculous like that, yes.
Somewhere around that. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think that rather than looking at content release, the easiest thing to do is to look at the FanFest dates and then think they have to have a PR wind up for the next expansion after that, which includes the media tour, which takes place over 3 separate weeks traditionally. They need to have, whenever they decide to release the job action trailer, they need to start sticking signs on buses and putting internet browser advertisements and all that kind of stuff.
Times Square.
Yeah. So I think the earliest possible is late December, but I think it's more likely
January.
January.
Yeah, exactly.
I think January is a good time because if they release it, I mean, we were talking about how Chaotic was released around Christmas, but an entire expansion, the developer team, I think, has ran into this issue before where they release early December, I think, is when they released an expansion. I forget which one. Maybe Endwalker? No.
I think Endwalker,
Was it
right?
Endwalker?
It was mid-December
Yeah.
or early.
And then over the holiday break, they have to work because they have to fix stuff, do hot fixes,
That's awful,
do whatever.
isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's miserable. Yeah. And so I think January makes sense because that's the biggest, like,
It's your new year, you know, you've got a new perspective. New Year is huge in Japan as well, like in terms of positivity. So you don't want to drag people who have been working their asses off for the entire year into work in December.
yeah.
Terrible idea.
Well, I mean, like, I think so January, February, maybe that's where it would be, and that would be sooner than what I think people are kind of expecting. So that's where I'm lining up for right now. That's still
That's still a long
2027.
time.
And who knows where, like, we are going to be in the world at that point. I'm kind of taking it day by day right now. So I don't know, but hopefully that'll be a fun start to the year and everything. It does make it kind of weird for FanFest because that's a hard squeeze, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they're further
I
ahead than-
feel very bad for the events team just at the sheer concept of having to organize 3 FanFests and then probably back to back off that 3 media tour venues. It sounds horrible. I'm gonna be
That means
real.
they would have to do they would have to do the media tour in November and early December at the latest, right?
Yeah.
If they're like, because then they're gonna have to do media tour over the holidays, I guess. I don't know. Depending on when they release it. If they do it in February, they could do the media tour stuff in January. That might actually make more sense if they wanted to still do it the same way they did it before. But they scrap media tour altogether.
Oh, if
I
they
wouldn't be
scrap
that
media tour,
surprised.
it's game over.
I wouldn't be. Yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised. Part of me, like, obviously there is a lot of good that comes from the media tour, but I wouldn't be too shocked to see it being scrapped, and I wouldn't be too upset to see
Really?
it scrapped either. Honestly,
Really?
Yeah. I think that obviously the people who get to go, it's like a big privilege. It's fun to go to, and you get to test the game early. Part of me wishes that instead we had some kind of limited time beta build where people could go in and test the jobs and give feedback a month or two before release for a day that everybody has access to.
Mm-hmm. I mean, media tour is great. It's one of my favorite events or my favorite things to do because you get to go with a lot of people and you get to go with like these other content creators that you have been kind of like parallel side by side with, get to talk to them and actually be like humans with each other for a bit, right?
It's good
And
for
just be excited.
connections.
Because if like at FanFest, content creators they don't get to hang out in the same way because you're there to meet people that you know, watch your content in a way. And so there's not as much time for that, but this is just like a dedicated like moment between all the content creators. But the thing is, as soon as you go in that room and you're like all right, here's my fucking checklist. Ignore the fuck out of everybody and sit here and plug away as hard as I fucking can for 8 hours trying to get footage of every single thing, right?
Yep.
And it's such a like this content creation stressful moment because you have this I don't know, possibly a golden egg, and you're like, I have to take care of this really well and like work on this and not fuck this up. And it's just that the entire moment. And then you go have dinner maybe with your friends, and then you go home the next day. And it's awesome. It's a great privilege. I would always want to go. I will go every single time I'm invited, no matter what. But then there's also the stress of 2 weeks. Hey, let's hope no one's a stupid piece of shit for 2 weeks straight, right? And they hold their shit together. And so the content can get released and everybody can have that, hey, here's the new content without having all that shit spoiled before the embargo gets lifted. And so it's painful.
This is another reason. Sorry to interrupt. I do apologize. This is another reason I could see them shifting the way that they deal with promotional things next expansion, because the last 2 expansions, at least something has been spoiled
every single
by
one.
Stupidly. Attendees from the media tour. Somebody has spoiled something, and they really want to avoid that, right?
I mean, they want to avoid it. I would think more for the content creator sake, right? Square Enix doesn't give a fuck, I think. They wanted to be presented like properly, but that stuff's going to be released no matter what. That information is going to be out there and analyzed, and if it gets released early, who gets hurt by that? The people who are making the content. That's it.
But on the flip side of that, your idea of having a beta, much like World of Warcraft, how they do it, reveals far too much of the game to far too many people far too early, and then you're sat there for like a month and a half basically waiting for a game that you've already played.
And that's
I cannot stand the way that WoW did it in the past.
I mean, it also gets data mined, to like all shit. This way it doesn't get data mined because content creators can't do that, right? They don't have the ability. They can just play it for that amount of time. And
it would be immediately mined as soon as someone had access to a beta.
Yeah.
And then we have the same thing as MMO Champion,
The mining is definitely a concern. I've been playing, sorry to mention another game, quite a lot of Guild Wars 2 recently, right? What they do before an expansion comes out is they don't release any content, as far as I know, before the expansion, but they release the jobs for a few days just so that people can mess around with them and get to grips with the abilities. And more importantly, the development team can see, do people like this? Do we need to pivot? Are there any weird bugs that people are discovering? And they can only take those jobs into old content, right? And I could see something like that being a potentially positive move.
That's a good idea, actually. The idea that, let's say 2 months before an expansion comes out, you have the regular game you normally have. They just put the job updates in before the expansion launches. Is that what you were saying? Because that's brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much, yeah.
I mean,
that's really good.
That could work out, but if they're gearing most of the job changes, everything else towards the expansion and with the content that's within that expansion, it might feel weird there too, and it might not be a complete sync up. I mean, I don't know. It's still not a bad idea. I mean, technically, they released the content early, 3 days before the expansion comes out.
True. Yeah.
That's your test. That's your beta test, right? Your early access.
You pay to beta test.
Yeah. I mean, it's always so funny to me when it's like pre-ordered a game to play it 3 days earlier. What are you gonna do if I buy the game 1 day after it's the early access is released? I don't get to play it, but everyone else gets it's the game's being released 3 days before it's being announced to be released.
It's just such a silly tactic, isn't it? That targets on FOMO and exclusivity.
Yeah.
When in reality, anybody who's even remotely interested in 14 pre-orders the video game. So
yeah. But anyways, I think with how they do that, it is interesting to see with the timeline if they're going to release it a little bit earlier. From what he said, Media Tour might be scrapped or be different. I mean, when they had to do it during COVID era, it was all remote Media Tour,
which was actually so much better.
Yeah,
I hate to say, I enjoyed it a lot more.
I mean, it was an interesting.
It was easier
time.
to work at your own desk, and use your own resources to make notes and things rather than, and I love the interpersonal things, like I love the in-person ones, but it was so good to just sit there and go, right, I haven't got any distractions. This is what's on my list. I get to check this out. You know, it was well done. I really enjoyed it. And the latency wasn't bad either. I thought it was going to be terrible, but
yeah,
it was pretty good.
That was done pretty well, I think. But it wasn't, I still like the in-person thing. I don't know. There's something about just being there and being in that environment, and then like they theme it out and everything, and it's nice.
But if you want to save money by not having a media tour, then that's how you should do it. Have it non-in-person, and
yeah.
Especially if you're short on time, I can see them doing that again. Actually,
as long as if they send me my loot bag, that's fine.
Yeah, that bag was amazing.
It's pretty nice. But yeah, man, FanFest, I'm excited for it. I'm gonna go if I can. You know, I'll find my way there. I don't never bank on being invited. By the way,
no.
Always just try to get a ticket and try to get in there. I've done that every single time because situations like last FanFest may happen, and it's just you won't be able to go. So I always try to get tickets for it, and I haven't gotten my hotel room. I probably should, but it's just so expensive right now. Like if I want to get those 4 days, it's like $800, $1,000, whatever it is. Like,
well, you know, there is that other place nearby. It might be cheaper.
I'm not going to Germany. I don't have that other place. I have Disneyland,
right, yeah.
a different kind of like selling yourself thing.
Yeah, Disneyland.
All right. Well, that's FanFest, okay? All right, we talked a good bit about FanFest. Yeah, we'll move on from FanFest. But the things, you know, it means, and there was that little hint, you know, we were talking about 8.0 a good bit as well, and he brought back up the interesting point of job changes and how they're going to be drastically different. Do you guys have theories on like what they would even do that would be surprising to us, or is it just something he's saying and then we're going to get an extra dot?
Doesn't it depend on if we get 10 more levels or if they switch the entire system to not be levels?
I mean, that would be just fucking huge in itself, though.
Yeah, that is a big point of what, you know, because they were umming and ahhing about that as well. So job changes that are that significant, it'd have to tie into something like that.
Yeah.
I think my unfortunate stance is I'll believe it when I see it in terms of getting drastic changes, just because in Endwalker and Dawntrail we got relatively little in terms of meaningful job changes to most jobs.
And most of it is homogenization.
Yeah. I do have a feeling that they might be shifting away from pushing us to level 110 and going in a different direction, but I have no idea what that direction is. Could it be, for example, multiple builds, which is a thing that people have said they wanted for a long time, but that also flies in the face of a lot of FF14's current design in general, so it would require huge overhauling to even function properly.
It's a lot of extra work on a dev team to try and make all of those things actually useful, because everybody will just sim the most powerful.
Yes.
If it's a DPS, let's say you turned Ninja into 3 specializations like it is in Warcraft, they'll just figure out which one is the more powerful, you know, in a X amount of time on a fight.
Well, so really, I'm not sure what they could do that would be interesting or surprising. So my expectation is we will get the standard 2 additional actions, a trait or 2, and Bob's your uncle until we see otherwise.
I agree. I completely agree. I don't see them making drastic changes in that regard. Maybe what they're talking about, you know, their word drastic might actually just be, you know, inflated. Wasn't there talk about, correct me if I'm wrong and remind me if you remember this, where I think Yoshi P mentioned something about taking away revival from Summoner and changing it into more, you know, your usual DPS. They're probably talking that kind of thing.
Potentially. I know I do remember them saying that they were on the cusp of removing res from Summoner for like 2 or 3 expansions straight, and they've shied away, quote unquote, for now. But yeah, it could be something like that. It could. I think as well, one thing that FF14 job design is really struggling with, or rather one role is struggling with, is physical ranged, is in particular suffering from a lack of players that are interested in playing it, just because it is struggling as a role to find a unique position in which it is actually useful in high-end raiding, aside from the 1%. And the 1% is a band-aid fix, right? I think my like firm opinion is that the number one issue plaguing FF14 right now is the job design situation they've placed themselves in and the way that it impacts the content afterwards. So whatever they implement in 8.0, like, I really hope that they're confident in it, basically.
I think we're going to get 10 more levels, but they're not going to call it 10 more levels. They're going to say advanced levels or something.
Not attribute points. I don't want attribute
it's prestige
points.
or mastery or whatever.
Prestige. We're Call of Duty now. Do we get extra emblems?
Prestige 10, let's go.
Yeah.
So it's
get
gonna
a platinum emblem.
10 more levels of that, but it's just going to be named differently. And maybe they're going to have homogenized skills where you're like going to specialize in tanking levels, or you're going to specialize in this.
Boy, no.
Like, you know, I don't know. There's a couple of ways to handle it where it's not too off from what the current system is, but it sounds different.
Maybe.
I mean, they kind of did that with the Phantom Jobs, right? It's just more buttons to press.
I mean, they did the same thing with logo sections and, you know, Blue Mage, but they've not really done much with that in terms of baking it into the main game.
Yeah.
So I just don't see it happening. And I don't see more player choice being something they go for, because they're already saying like how long it takes to develop and balance something. You know, when you've got, 22 plus jobs to try and balance. If you've got 3 or 2, let's say you've got 2 specializations or 2 sets of attributes or player choice for any, like, let's say you just give everybody a choice of 5 different options of an extra button or to swap something out, similar to role actions. You've got to try and balance that out for 22 plus jobs, 25 maybe in the future. It's just not going to happen. So maybe they'll look at it from a different perspective and make it so that instead of leveling up, you gain, I don't know, something else outside of combat, maybe. I was toying with the idea of making it so that, yes, you still lock your content behind your MSQ and your stories, and that's how you incentivize people to still do them, but you give people rewards for completing, I don't know, filling up a bar. There's still going to be an EXP bar, but don't call it that. But make it applicable to something that isn't combat, something that they won't have to balance around. So they're like, I don't know, similar to how people in free companies have buffs for specific things, make small changes, cosmetic things, give people more things to do in the game, more reasons, tie it into achievements.
Are you talking
Something
about like
casual, basically? Yeah, seriously.
Charisma, or like, or what do you, or I don't know, you get cheaper goods or something from the vendors?
Something, I don't know. I haven't really thought of like an example per se, but I think that's, they want to focus more on engaging more people to do more content. The way you're going to get a lot of the people that don't do the high-end stuff to actually take part in it is to encourage them to get fancy rewards from doing that content, or and then having that scaling system.
Bring the relationship system to Scions. You know.
Well, that's something that people have wanted for years, you know, a dating sim. And that's mostly the Japanese audience that have asked for that as well, primarily.
Well, yeah, I can see it.
It's huge.
But I don't know. I think like the stuff that would really surprise me if they changed it would require the game system to be drastically different in its response times and how it handles like the net code and interacting with things. Because every once in a while they knock it out and like it feels like you're dodging stuff pretty well, but recently I have ran into a few issues where I'm like, motherfucker, I dodged that.
Yeah.
It's a little upset, especially in OC, but I mean, could be because there's so many people there, but I don't know. And I can't imagine anything. They would have to really rethink a lot of how MMO design and battle systems are designed to really surprise me too much. And I do really think it's just going to be.
Yeah. It's the inevitable 10 levels. Here's a couple of new abilities, and the ability you used to have on your bar is no longer there, and it's a passive Black Mage.
Yeah. I mean, they could. I can see like multiple specs happening in some way, like making Dark Knight a possible DPS too. But they would do that for like 2 jobs. And then they'd be like a rollout. Every expansion, and 2 more jobs gets a dual spec instead of releasing new jobs and things like that. I can kind of see them doing something similar to that too. But it wouldn't be so drastic that it would be an announcement, I guess, saying that we're changing all the jobs up in 8.0 and then they change 2 jobs up. So I don't know. I guess we'll wait and see.
At this point, anything new is good, right? Anything new that they decide to try and do is not necessarily a bad thing because it's been like this for X amount of years. So,
and we're not going to know for a
being
year.
Creative. Exactly.
They're not going to release that at NA FanFest. It's going to be EU FanFest where we get that information, I would assume. So,
and Japanese FanFest will pretty much have nothing, probably.
I mean, it's just a fun, home run kind of thing,
If we're talking about where the media tour would land and the information release from that, then a Japanese FanFest would be after that, wouldn't it? Would it not?
No, it would still, media tour would just be directly above it. Because, I mean, like, let's see, we had about a month and a half on this last expansion where media tour was before the expansion release.
No, that's right, yeah.
So that would probably put us in November for media tour stuff, if it's going to be released in January or early December, or it would be, I can see them doing early December for media tour if they're still going to do it that same way, or they would do it early January and have it released in February. So I guess we'll see. Again, by the way, people who are watching this on YouTube, I'm sorry if like half the information that we're saying has completely been nullified by news that has happened on Sunday. When this releases on Monday, I doubt they're going to have any information at PAX on a story panel.
The interviews, maybe.
Maybe the interviews, yeah. I don't know if there's like a release time window for when people do interviews there and how long until they're allowed to release it, but I guess they just do it, they release it as soon as they're done with the interview. They like send it to an editor and they push it out immediately, but I don't know.
Usually it's the day after.
I mean, that's true too, yeah. So maybe a lot of the stuff we're going to be talking about sounds like nonsense to people who are watching this on YouTube, but hopefully not. Hopefully we get a couple of days of relevant conversation before completely negating this video. But all right, the other thing that has been a really big deal and has been like a huge talk. We're getting off the expansion and release windows and everything for a moment. And I want to get back to like one of the biggest core things that has been. I feel like it'd be demeaning to say plaguing, but it felt like the right word. But I don't feel like it's the right word. Is the situation with Mayor and Square Enix taking action against it. And the community going into an entire uproar to where Yoshida put out a post, which was surprisingly more lenient than I think we've heard him in recent years towards mods. Before we dive into it, I just want to get your guys' general initial thoughts and feelings on this whole situation, so I know where we stand.
My standpoint is that they knew, people who utilized things that were third party knew that it was against the terms of service, right? So why did they go into the game and start talking about it? Because that's always been the number one thing is, you don't talk about Fight Club if you are taking part in it. So I don't necessarily understand what they expected from this. That's my point in it.
I want to follow that up with something, but first, Rinon, what are your thoughts?
So, I don't really have a horse in the race when it comes to specifically whether third-party tools are an okay thing or not. Like, to be blunt, I don't really care. I think people will do it regardless of if it is or isn't, and Square Enix will feel the way that they feel regardless of if it is or isn't. But what I do think is I really respect that for the first time in it must be 3 or 4 years now, we've had Square Enix coming very out candidly and talking as if they are humans about a subject that has been massively controversial in the community for so many years now. I think that this approach from the start probably would have helped to prevent at least a percentage of the harm that has been done. Honestly, to the outward reputation that FF14 has and how it has been harmed by the usage of pornography mods, for example. So I'm glad that this conversation is being had, basically.
Okay. Now
it was inevitable.
Yeah. It's one of these things where like I've had to deal with it in a very surface level because of the world race and everything else in a different position of it. This was focused more on people using it openly to change their characters and looks and everything else in a very I don't know, not PvE way. I guess maybe you can make that a little bit of PvE, I don't know, but in the end it was more of just like I'm enjoying the game, I want my character to look different, and that's the biggest part of it. There's lots of other elements to it that made it problematic, of course. But when we're talking about people who are using like third-party stuff and they were doing it openly, you look in their adventure profiles and they would just say mayor or they would say whatever, right, to reference it. And just it felt like everyone didn't expect anything to ever happen to him because everybody was so open about it. It wasn't like such a big deal. Do you guys remember when everybody used to stream ACT?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
You remember when ACT was just one of those things where it's just every stream had it, and everyone was okay putting little mods that gave us the timers on debuffs and everything else.
I think third-party tools it's like an arms race in a way, right? Early FF14, there were not a massive variety of tools and they were not massively involved. They were very like rudimentary, like damage trackers, or ACT can do some call outs for you and that's it, right?
Yeah.
And I think Yoshida's stance, even in this post, is that like personally he doesn't have an issue with modding a game. It is a very long-standing tradition. I think that as years have gone by and the mods have got, I think it's fair to say, more both intrusive and more powerful. And they've affected, again, Square Enix's PR in negative ways, like massive controversies about cheating in the world race cropping up, like not once, not twice, but probably like 3 or 4 times at this point, like forcing them to take a public step back from supporting it. Yeah. I think, it's just the result of this being like kind of like an Ouroboros that just eats itself and it becomes more and more of a mess as time goes on. I think this is the response, right? This is the end product.
It feels like it's a bit of a follow-on from the other controversy, which wasn't even that long ago either, to do with what was it called? Something scope or whatever, where people
player
I don't know.
Yeah.
Where people were effectively using it to bypass the blacklist and find people in the game who were on different characters, etc., and it led to stalking issues. So I mean, like, it just feels like,
how fucking like what you goes in your head and you're like, man, I really want to get past the blacklist, and get past all this stuff and the blocks and everything else, so I can stalk people properly. What kind of person is like so just deprived that they have to program something to fix? I mean, Jesus Christ, it's so weird to me, dude, that it can be just that gross and awkward and weird to have to try to break these systems. Just take the message they don't want to talk to you. And then people make systems so other people can do it easily. And it's just like, it feels so evil. It really does.
It just feels like you're going to get bad actors everywhere, right?
Yeah, every game community has it, right? And actually, it's actually a good sign to have people like that. I know that sounds really bad
I
to
mean, it's
say.
the red hat hacking stuff, yeah, but
right, the bigger your game is, the more controversy it has. Means it's bigger because of that, right? If there was no controversy, the game's dead, basically.
I don't know.
Think of it that way.
I don't know. I think there's a good game out there. It doesn't need controversy to stay alive.
Name one MMO that doesn't have controversy that's actually of sizable player base.
I think that's. I'm not saying it's a product of what happens. I'm not saying it's required for it to stay relevant. Can you tell me a game that it is an MMO and just doesn't have controversy? Like, just it's an MMO, but there's no controversy with it. And I don't know of any games like that.
Dead ones.
Sure.
Ones with nobody logging in. Yeah. Yeah.
I maybe it helps the game in some way, but yeah, the thing with these kind of add-ons and everything else, it's not bad that people are doing it because they expose flaws with it.
Oof.
Yeah, they explode. Why the God damn it! I'm gonna start saying Meoni again.
Oh God.
It exposes the flaws within the coding and programming and how things are doing, and hopefully in a manner that allows Square Enix to take action before anything really, really bad happens.
There was an example being set, basically, that, and I personally think that the article, what he talked about on there was very fair, very truthful, and much more open than they used to be. I didn't expect them to. Well, Rinon, what's the exact quote about the specific type of mods?
wait, I got it right here. One sec. Let's consider another theoretical mod, one that displays your character entirely naked.
Oh my goodness. I could almost hear the stroking of the beard at that point.
You know what's funny? Like, I know of at least one situation, I'm sure it's happened more than that, of someone in a community starting up their stream and they forgot to turn off their nude mods on the characters. And they completely disappeared from that community immediately afterwards.
That's so funny.
Yeah, you just get memed on forever because of that, right? But yeah, no, it depends. Oh, I guess it depends on the community you're in too. But it's just interesting in a way that, like, he had to address it, and he wanted to say, guys, it's not that bad. I understand, but please, we have to say this stuff, and we have to try to keep things good, because here's all these bad things that are happening, and these are the bad things that come from you doing this. But if you keep this all within your own side of the world and everything else, and not exposing this to other players and actually causing harm with it, why would we care? Is kind of the situation, right?
Perhaps it's less about what people do in the game and more about what they're posting on social media with the official hashtags. For an investor, like with other partners, like for example, Capcom with Monster Hunter, if they wanted to do research, should I work with Square Enix? If it wasn't Capcom, let's say it was, I don't know, NetEase or anybody, any other company, they'd go, right, let's see what this game's about. All you have to do is type in the abbreviation of a game and immediately you've got massive badongadongs in the face. You know what I mean? Like, it's
and
unavoidable.
Those get the most retweets. They get the most likes.
So, it's not a good look for any company. At the end of the day, a company to be represented by something that is not representative of their work that's being published. And for another IP to want to be involved, they really want to risk their intellectual property suddenly having modifications present with it? For example, if Nintendo was to put out a Switch 2 version of Final Fantasy XIV, which seems almost guaranteed at this point, would there be a potential for crossovers with, like, Peach, for example? Hell no. Hell no. You know what I mean?
Maybe you get it only in the Switch 2 files. Would that exist?
Jeez.
I think it's a very nuanced, like, issue, right? Especially in fucking 2025, where we're having censorship laws tightening when it comes to
That's right.
not safe for work content, as well as cheating. Like, for example, where I have to submit my ID to browse Twitter nowadays because I live in the UK, stuff like that. With a lot of these like censorship laws coming into place and starting to tighten, combined with the fact that, let's be honest, Square Enix is getting negative press from the existence of pornography mods. They're also getting negative press from the existence of cheating. They clearly felt like they had to say something. They had to alleviate the fire. They had to like put some water on the fire, you know, stuff like that. I don't envy the position they're in. Obviously, Mare isn't the source of those not safe for work mods, but it definitely aids in proliferation. I think really the crux of the issue is, and the reason that this is just going to happen again in another year or two, like without fail, is because obviously Square Enix FF14 has no inbuilt anti-cheat and it has no official mod support. And if you have neither of those things, the only way you can operate is on good faith. And when you operate on good faith, there will always be some people that do not show good faith, and that ends up causing a huge issue, which is obviously exactly what happened with Playerscope. Some people didn't show good faith. They made this like intrusive mod that pushes beyond the boundaries of what Square Enix was comfortable with, so they cracked down, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, here's the man, I do not envy them for making a game that has to deal with so many international laws and everything else, because there's lots of laws in Japan that create hurdles for these kind of things as well. At least that's my understanding. And so, like, they're dealing with the laws that are happening in Japan, they're dealing with the laws that are happening in the UK, and of course in the US, I don't know what the fuck is happening in the US, but like, you know, there's all kinds of laws that are happening over here at some point as well. And I feel like we're going to be in kind of a tricky situation with having these kind of global games as much, because who wants to deal with this much bullshit, you know? Is it like, does it even make sense to like have a game that reaches in every single region and not just localize every single one of those, and just have a game for China, a game for Korea, a game for Japan, a game for US, and so on? I don't know what, you know, that looks like.
The market is reliant on a global audience, though, because there are several companies that have attempted to do that with segregation from the rest of the world, where Japanese-only games, for example, Blue Protocol, they ended up selling the IP to the Chinese because they just didn't have the player base, and they were banning people who were operating from outside of Japan. It's not good for the game. China specifically, I mean, look at Final Fantasy XIV Mobile as your prime example there as well.
Well, what's even happening with that?
Doing it. No idea.
I have no clue what's going on with that game. I know Mr. Happy was playing it, and for a while.
Well, yeah.
That's it.
It's out in China, right? Like,
yeah,
it's released.
It is. Yeah.
It's not out anywhere else. I have no idea when it's coming out. Nothing.
That'll be a bloody Fanfest announcement, and they'll go, "Do you guys have phones?" It'll be BlizzCon again.
Oh no!
I'm seeing it now, and I'm like, no, please.
Yeah.
They'll do that on the NA one because there's very little else for them to talk about, probably.
Oh, they're saying there's really bad bot problems with it right now.
Is there really?
Yeah, I bloody believe it.
Yeah.
It.
I mean, the current game has horrible bot problems too, but I don't really see it around that much as I used to see it. Do you?
I go into Gridania and there's like 10 fucking say chats of bots trying to sell me
underneath the ether, right? Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Or if you go to Quarry Mill and you, like, for example, there was a recent Mog Pendium thing where you had to do some Palace of the Dead. So I went over to Quarry Mill, and there's like at least 50 characters clipping through the what do you call it, the bridge. There's a small stream and a bridge, and they were clipping through the floor, so clearly one of the scripts that these bots are using teleports them to the bridge and then puts them underneath there, under the terrain for whatever reason. And it was comical seeing this blur of Highlanders basically blurring into a bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it exists. It happens.
I know it's just it's not as visible when I'm playing the game right now, but I guess because I don't go out in the open world that much. I'm like, so I don't actually see it, but I know it's there. I know there's tons of bots underneath the surface of the game. But I guess the other thing with this whole add-on thing is that like it's been such a frustrating situation for me personally to kind of navigate over the last decade. And it's with the world race and everything else, and it's been painful because every single world race we have something. I mean, the last world race was the last I had to, like, before that we had the red dot scenario, which was stressful as shit for me. That was where I had to and I had to navigate that, and that was rough to navigate, man, because you know I've always just kind of let people, the raiders, figure out what they believe is fair and run with that without over getting super involved with it, because I didn't feel right to do that kind of stuff. Like it was my place. And at some point I was like, okay, this is what the community mostly thinks is right. How do I word this in a way that makes sense? And in the end, everybody wants to play and have a way to actually tackle the content without messing with the actual game design. This is my whole thought process. And to hear Yoshida say something similar to that felt really interesting. I mean, I don't know. It's just it kind of came to that same kind of terminology as, hey, we just don't want you fucking with what we're intentionally trying to put out there for you. This does go back to the world race and everybody being very sensitive about using mods and everything else. And I think some people who were feeling completely like evil, horrible people for having any kind of quality of life mods don't feel like evil, horrible people anymore. And that affects people in the race, not in the race, wherever else. And I believe that's why a lot of people are responding positively to what Yoshida said. Unless if you guys think I'm off base there, but that's kind of what I got from it.
I think you're right.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think Yoshida's post was very good. I think it was very thoughtful, and like we said earlier, it's a lot softer than his previous stance on mods. But obviously, like, his opinion hasn't changed, but he's come at it with a human approach rather than I am an executive at a company approach. And I think that was very much appreciated. I also think that I don't really know too much about the modding community, but I think that it must suck to feel like you are this
bad guy,
unwanted thing in the community, right? And I think that Yoshida's post probably made a lot of people feel like if we are doing something that doesn't negatively affect the game and we are not sharing it all over social media and spamming the FF14 account with it and stuff like that, like they've basically been given the go-ahead, right?
Yeah.
And I think those
gray,
people,
and it goes back to being gray rather than red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was so.
But yeah, it was very thoughtful, basically.
Yeah, I mean,
that's all I want to say.
Because it was gray for quite a while, and then the ACT stuff and like everything else, and all streamers took all their stuff off the screen because it stopped being so gray. It was more like, don't do it. We want you not to do this. And then we kind of dove back into the gray area again, which is I am interested to see how that turns out in the future. Hopefully people still keep stuff to themselves, but yeah.
I think, like, one thing, I'm not going to say I was disappointed because it's like implicit, but one thing that I felt I would have wished to have been addressed more explicitly are very game-breaking third-party tools that affect gameplay, like Splatoon, for example.
Yeah.
I wasn't a big fan that these were not addressed explicitly at all. You could argue that, oh, it's implicit because it's infringing upon others or it's impacting the intended game design. You could say that, but I would argue these tools are way more egregious and deserve to be expunged from the game way more than even not safe for work mods.
Yeah.
I think these are an actual problem, you know? So I would have loved to see a bit more explicit conversation about that from him.
It would have been nice, you know, to be completely honest, because we've, as the rating community, has kind of ruled it like this, hey, this is a horrible thing. And I think the general stuff, or at least where where I led to was, hey, there's a bug in the game that wrecks GCDs due to latency in the way that it responds and locks in animations and your the coding and everything that makes like overseas playing completely off par from everyone else. That's not something that breaks the game. It just makes it work as intended as long as it's behaving properly. And then there's the other part where people are uploading logs, right? And this is like one of the when we talk about like people modding their character and stuff like that, and making it look different and being kind of okay with that. Another huge thing that keeps people playing this game is logs and uploading logs to websites. So I agree that I would hope he would address that a little bit more. And it is one of those things that I have an open request out to Yoshida, and I'm gonna have one day hopefully just get him to allow access to a public log of the game that gives players the information they want without giving it too much information. But I don't know if that would ever happen. But I feel like public logs would get rid of a lot of like negative stigma for the current state of people who are raiding in this game.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating to navigate through that, but that's one of the things that most of the community has accepted is okay, because it's just a staple of the game, and instead of going back and reading a battle log, you can analyze it properly. You can do a lot of really, really horrible, gross information stuff with it, but you can also do a lot of really good stuff with it too. So I don't know. Melanie, you're about Meoni, Meoni, you're saying something. Sorry.
No, I was just thinking a way of making it in the game without giving you DPS meters. They've already got like Stone Sky Sea, which is, it's got limited usability. It's pretty crap. But maybe there is some way of just having at least your own personal logs displayed, not anyone else's, something like that, like some kind of front end, even if it was like a color wheel or something of who's doing the most. I don't know, like something, because it just feels like people will always rely on that unless it's in the game. And
It's
that
an
will always be
improvement
the
metric.
case.
It's just an improvement.
Yeah, how are
metric.
you supposed to improve at the game without having your own, you know, stuff in front of you and going, oh, I could have been doing better in this portion, for example, like, you know, XIV analysis. Who doesn't use that? Like, I've used that before. A good portion of the people I've ever raided with have used that.
Yeah. And yeah, it exists in the game, like they were saying in chat too. It's like one of these things where PvP has information on this. I don't know how accurate it is. I assume it's pretty accurate. But like when we get into this kind of level of offering this really difficult content to players, and we don't give them the ability to do what players would measure themselves as improving, we don't give them visual sight of that, it feels weird. It does feel like that's lacking in the game. I understand the reasons, and we've hashed this out a billion times over like the last 10 years. But I think we do have to start figuring out a way to make people who want to be good at this game, or give them something to go for, and not feel they have to be sneaky with it. You know, so
make the novice hall useful.
Yeah,
make there an advanced hall so that people can test things similar to the Stone Sky Sea, but actually, you know, in something that's more realistic to a fight that they're going to do, so they can test their metrics, and then it can show them in front of them, oh, you missed this button, you could fit this amount of buttons within this particular window. So just something like that, something really basic, would go a long way.
Yeah, I mean, like I do have like this, I a little on the fence about like over advisement. All right, I do want players to like have to kind of figure out stuff and have to go look at resources and have to try.
Oh, yeah, that's why you make it optional, like the novice hall is. You know, it's there if you want to use it, but make it useful, sort of thing.
Yeah,
I think the basic novice hall should be. Sorry,
you finish.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I do think that the novice hall as it is, with the changes that they've added to AoEs, displays, things like that, is fantastic. But unless that's compulsory to actually get into raiding, I don't think it's useful at all. I do think there needs to be a bare minimum of expectation of a player that's boosted their character to be forced to do that. I think that needs to be mandatory. That's my opinion. I don't think anybody wants to go into the new Alliance raid and there's somebody from the other Alliance raid saying, why did you steal our LB? For example, that's what we had a week ago. You know, we had people complaining about somebody taunting off a tank. What? These people need to play the novice hall. They need to learn the basics of the game. If they want to catch up, that's fine, but make them do something. Anyway, sorry, slight tangent.
No.
Do you
I think that
Go ahead.
users in live service games, especially MMOs, like nerdy games, they crave information and numbers, right? They crave knowledge and learning the intricacies of the way that their game of choice is designed so that they can be as good as possible. There is always a subset of users in games, just like in FF14, that feel that way and they want that. And FF14 doesn't support them in having that, like, at all. And obviously this is a small subset of the user base, so I could like totally understand you going, well, who gives a fuck about the 5%, right? When everybody else doesn't care. But like Meoni said, it does have knock-on effects to the average user who might be a bit nervous about going into raid, and they're like, okay, I want to learn my rotation, but the game doesn't give me any feedback on if I'm doing it even remotely right or not. So I'd either have to download a third-party tool or go to a Discord to find it out.
Or the worst scenario, they give up entirely, dude.
Yeah, which is the more common approach. They either decide they don't care or they give up on the game, right?
And then they miss out on, all that.
I mean, literally just doing the same thing they do with PvP at the end of a fight with like a damage board or whatever, or like metrics there and like SS star, superstar, whatever, ranking for what kind of damage you did would be a huge thing for a lot of people, and would add repeatability to content as well, wouldn't it? But I mean,
literally just like you're doing really well or you're doing okay, but you could try this. Something like anything that is feedback on performance for you yourself is a positive thing, I think.
Recycle the fate reward system, i.e. silver, bronze, and gold, and give them a gold sticker if they've done what they needed to do.
I mean, it does make it tricky for healers, is the only thing. Because it will just kind of continue to breed out really bad healers. But maybe there could be healing metrics to that too, that kind of like they figure out a way to present that where it's not horrible, but I don't know.
Well, healing, there needs to be more healing anyway, doesn't there, really?
Yeah, if you heal people who needed to be healed, right, plus did damage, but your damage is lower, but you actually got some heals too, maybe there's some sort of balance there, I don't know. Some way of measuring that properly. But I mean, we're also going to be diving into where we have every single, I don't know, I'm just saying it because it's kind of what they've been talking about, but if all content has difficulty levels going forward in the future, players need to figure out how to get to that higher difficulty thing, and if that's going to be something they aspire to do, they need ways to figure out how to get there. And like that's the repeatability to them. They have to figure out how to become better, and they are always going to venture into, how do I find out if I'm doing bad? Besides just, not enraging. I don't know. It could have been someone else's fault, right? Or you could get to the higher level content because someone overcompensated for you, and then you get shit on after that. I don't know.
The scaling system is an interesting concept for all content, really, isn't it? Because in many ways, that answers one of the problems a lot of people that I've met that have been new to the game ask me. So what order should I do things? I'm like, oh, well, you do the normal raid. Oh, should I jump straight into Savage? That's a good question, actually. Because should they go do the extremes? Should they go do, like, what's the difficulty curve? So I really have high hopes for this scaling system. I'll see it, I'll believe it when I see it, how it can be used in multiple different pieces of content. Like they mentioned Fort Tower as well, right? The second Fort Tower raid. Like there's a lot of different questions there.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like setting the basis for what you were talking about, though. You simplify the method of getting into the content by knowing that there's a system that you can alter and scale yourself for you or your party. But then at the same time, there needs to be a lot of back end towards to, you know, are you ready for this next piece of content? Not just item level, but as a player, are you up to snuff? So
I have a lot of hopes and a lot of deep worries about this system.
Yeah.
I genuinely think that if they pull this system off and they do it perfectly, it will be the single biggest change the game has ever had in a positive way that will make content more enjoyable to repeat and give it more longevity. But will they pull it off? I have no idea. There's so many issues with the concept, right? Because obviously let's take the quantum as the example, because it's the example they're releasing first. You have this fight which, according to them, starts off at like normal to extreme difficulty and goes all the way up to roughly ultimate level. You can't just have these scale statistically. They can't just scale on the DPS check and the damage output. They have to have scaling mechanic complexity as well, or it doesn't work, right? Otherwise it's uninteresting. So that means each piece of content needs way more design time put into it, because you're essentially designing all these different difficulties that will be different both in tuning and in mechanics. And then on top of that, you need to incentivize players to work through the scale. You need to have at least some level of differing rewards for different difficulties so that players have a reason to do anything other than just the easiest or just the hardest.
Yeah.
And it suddenly becomes a development nightmare.
It's the system right now is it's overcomplicated. It's so overcomplicated. For what they're, I like the concept. It feels like it has a lot of flavor to it, but what is the reward structure? You got the Q40, which is the highest reward. You have the nothing, which is the lowest reward. Then what the fuck is in the middle? Yeah. Then you have the middle part. What's
well, he said a chance of, right? A greater chance of the whatever the item is. Well, that I don't like percentages at the best of times, you know, with RNG. But do I really want to, like, as a person currently looking at this with my friends? They're going to be wanting to do the easiest, dirtiest possible way to get the most rewards, right? And that's the natural thing to do. Okay, yeah, if you put 40 in, you can get a title. Oh, look at me, I'm doing a 4-player ultimate. That's awesome. I want to do that eventually. But I'm going to find the cheapest, easiest way to get the fewest offerings as possible to clear it with the most rewards. So
it's going to be 40. It should be Q40, right? That's going to be, you get the most rewards per buck out of that, right?
Or something. No, but you need some exclusivity, because that's the problem with Criterion. There isn't any reason for me to go into Criterion, because all of the shit is fucking market tradable. You know what I mean? Apart from the weapon glows, right? But
so I'm trying to make sure I remember and understand this right. So if you do all of the new deep dungeon, you get enough totems to do the Q40. I'm
from
assuming.
The quest, yeah.
Yeah, as far as I understand, to do one run of the Q40 from one run of deep dungeon.
So when you want to do that again, you have to do all of deep dungeon again?
You have to open
if you want to claim loot from it.
Okay, if you want to get loot from it. So basically, you have to farm deep dungeon in order to do this thing to get loot, and that deep dungeon is going to take you 5-6 hours of farming.
No, it's every 10 floors there's a challenge log entry, and every 10 floors gives you a set reward per week of these offerings, and then you get randomized offerings, and you can put those towards a new run of that boss at whatever difficulty. But I don't know how many of those you get per week, but it does seem like the challenge log, at least from what they talked about in a live letter, what was it, 88 or 87, they talked about this, where they were saying that it would be every 10 floors would be part of the challenge log, and you would get separate rewards for doing that.
And what they alluded to was that the completion of a full run of the deep dungeon would give you enough of that thing to generate. I think it's each player can generate like an ultimate loot, right? So
each player can only. I think each player can only submit a certain amount. They can't submit all 40 from one player.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
The slide mentioned it's like because it's a team effort, and if somebody doesn't have enough, then you're doing it like 35 or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's just so. It feels like it's overly complex for doing normal, savage, mythic. All right, I feel like there's a lot of, and whenever, yeah, again, it's going to be gamed to what is the mid level here that gives me the most points. It's not, there isn't going to be like, hey, I don't like taking damage so much, so let's not take a lot of damage. I don't like doing, you know, healing too much or whatever it is, right?
Or our DPS sucks, so let's not buff the boss's health so much.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel like players are going to differentiate all that. They're just going to look at what's gamed to be the easiest way to do it and just take whatever that is.
And the other thing is obviously, like, what is the incentivization to do any of the more difficult difficulties more than once ever if you don't have unique rewards for them, which I hope they do, because obviously you run into the criterion issue where everybody would one clear criterion savage and never do it again, because what are you gonna,
why would you?
You're gonna farm a 20-minute run for a fucking materia? Like, why would you bother when you can just run normal mode instead? You know?
Exactly.
So the title's nice for one clear, but I think players that are challenging Quantum at an ultimate level will want to feel like, okay, I'm saving a lot of time farming by investing the extra effort into the difficulty, or I'm getting something unique.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know exactly how they're going to manage that.
Because their whole mandate is to try and make Final Fantasy XIV content as a whole be more accessible to more players that would ordinarily skip a patch, right? So that's what they literally said. But the thing that interests me is how the hell are they going to make this system work for stuff like Fork Tower? Would it be literally like, should we take Sanguinite as a thing? So do you have to put in more Sanguinite per player to make it, I don't know, an ultimate Fork Tower? Like, how is that going to work? How do you make it? Think of it on like a level of like Criterion as well, because they mentioned like variant mode. They didn't mention Criterion, they mentioned variant mode, which makes me think that that will have like a variant difficulty depending on a currency again, because they seem to gamify a lot of these things with a currency rather than just a toggle switch. And I think depending on how well this currency and how long it takes to farm it, you know, for, as you've used as an example, clearing is going to take 6 hours maybe to get the most stuff. You've got to kind of find the fine line between if you want people to do the high-end content or if you want them to grind and then not bother do it.
I mean, like, what chat's talking about right now is that people are just going to farm the deep dungeon part, sell the totems, and then the people who want to do it.
Tradable.
Yeah.
That's the weirdest thing about it.
Yeah, but I mean, it makes sense in a way because it makes it more accessible to the people who just want to do it. Because a lot of
toggle slider.
Yeah,
it's going to be difficult as it is, and a lot of these people want more attempts at that difficulty, but they're not going to see it unless they have the offerings in their back. Which you could literally make it
that you could literally make it that the offerings are used to unlock a difficulty, and once it's unlocked, you have it forever.
That would be
instead
better.
of using it to loot, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
The saving grace is that they don't use the offerings if you fail. That's the only thing that's good from that. If they were used, then the content would be dead on arrival.
Yeah, immediately. That'd be some high intense content though. Because could you imagine like the world race and they're like going, they wipe after offering up to 40,
and then they go for another 6-hour run.
And then they have to do a 6-hour clear.
Welcome to Palace of the Dead, though. To be honest with you.
Yeah,
I think one thing I'm actually kind of concerned about, specifically in regards to when they do it for the next Forked Tower, is how are you going to build a player base that will support multiple scaling difficulties? Because I don't think FF14 on any date on any like region has the player base to support 48-man instances on numerous scaling difficulties with numerous either unique or scaling rewards and expecting all of them to be populated. It's not going to happen. Half of them are just going to be dead instantly.
Unless if they got some crazy relics going that involved you being in that area, right?
No, there's not enough incentives to make people go near that content as it is. So
it's like yeah, like the system conceptually is so fucking cool, and I think it could be the best thing to happen to the game. But I'm like, just how are you
Yeah.
going to pull it? Like, prove it, you know? You got to
It's
show
like,
me
it looks
before I believe it.
great, but how are you going to pull that off? How?
Yeah.
That's so much extra work. The thing that really annoyed me, though, sorry for going on about this, you
it's
probably want to
fine.
move topic, right?
I mean,
But I forget where it was, which interview, where it was like, this will probably, the quote or semi-quote citation needed is, this will probably result in lesser content being produced overall.
right.
I don't like that. I really don't like
I mean,
that.
like, this has been hashed out so fucking much, dude. Like, it's been one of those things where people are like, oh, well, that doesn't really mean there's less content. It just, means that there's less types of content. The content still, and it's been such a conversation. Man, even like, the Final Fantasy XIV community's a fun one. Sometimes when these conversations come up, because even when they were like, remember he said, oh, it's not going to be Vegas in July, right? And everybody was like,
it's Vegas in
wait
August.
Vegas in August? Or is it just, not going to be in July? I don't understand, right? It's still going to be in July, but just somewhere else. And it's just like, it was such like a harsh conversation because people were actually kind of upset. And they're like, they still could be in Vegas, guys. That's dumb. Why would you say that? And then he comes back out like a couple days later and he's like, oh yeah, it's not in Vegas. And just like, guys, we don't have to overanalyze this stuff much. It's all right.
I just dislike the idea of that quote, just in general, because we're already looking at so long between patches as it is.
I mean, yeah.
And now with 8.0, a year of 7.5, less content.
As long as that content has the replayability factor to it, it won't feel like less content if it's has a reason to replay it and it feels fun to replay it, right? It's enjoyable. Like, I know the Fall Guys collab gets shit on a lot, but I could play that a lot. I had fun playing it, except for, every once in a while I'm like, yeah, that guy's probably cheating. But I mean, it was fun, and that was somewhat repeatable content, and they have to figure out how to do that for their standard PvE content as well.
So Beastmaster has to be more than Must Carnival in a raincoat. That's all I'm going to say. Because if it's anything like that, it will be dead.
Yeah.
It really...
You don't want to know a secret, guys? I never did all the Blue Mage stuff.
Yeah, why would you? Half of it was arse. Let's be blunt. The problem, like Blue Mage. Okay, Blue Mage is conceptually really cool, and they could have done something really cool with it, but they decided not to. They instead specifically decided, okay, let's have the Mask Carnival, which has some unique content, but only released with the initial release. And ever since then, you can just do old fights on Blue Mage. There you go, done. That's your content. Sorted. Like, we are not going to put any effort into this whatsoever.
To be fair, they did have the Morbol mount from doing certain other things like Bahamut and Alexander.
Yeah, it was just doing old
it.
Savages as Blue Mage.
that's it.
I was not a fan of Blue Mage. And the worst part is, Blue Mage as a job is really interesting. Even the way it plays in FF14 is really interesting. I would go as far as to say it is the most interesting DPS job in the game. There's just no content in which you get to do it and have a good time.
DPS tank and healer with ethereal mimicry as well, which makes that even more interesting.
I do think
I like to pretend that tank Blue Mage doesn't exist.
I do think if they made like open world content more enjoyable, it would solve a lot of problems. Even with Blue Mage and Beastmaster, if that was one of those things where you're just doing it out in the open world and having fun with that content with it, that could be another thing. But that's when doing the expansion for Dawntrail, that was one of the biggest things that stood out, was just how dull the open world content is. Because it doesn't exist. Your questing is going and talking to some people and turning in some stuff.
You like fates, right?
Yeah. It's just like little fates. I mean, I like the little battles and I like the dungeons and everything else, but just going out in the open world is just fate after fate after fate, and that's it. it doesn't feel like it's a world with like cool things going on or anything else.
That's why I think Beastmaster has to be something more than Blue Mage, anything more than Blue Mage. Otherwise, it's wasted development costs that they could have applied to some other piece of content, especially if they're reducing the amount of content that we're getting and putting in a scaling system for the content we already have. That's
They
my
have
opinion.
spoken big game about Beastmaster recently in interviews, right? They said that they're putting a large amount of development time and budget into it. It has like a decent amount of bespoke content. I can't remember the exact wording, but they talked quite confidently about Beastmaster. So I'm very interested to see what
It'll be
comes
interesting.
out.
But like you with the scaling system, I will believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's well, I don't know if it's just all solo content for it, but I mean, like, you're supposed to group up with other beasts. Like, are you going to be able to group up with Blue Mages, or is it just Beastmaster only? If they do more content with it in the future, I guess it would just all be Beastmaster, because it'd be weird if they put it with Blue
I would
Mage,
hope that there'd be just quote limited job end quote content. That would be nice. I've wanted them to do PvP for ages. I thought that'd be hilarious.
I mean, they could balance that pretty easy. PvP, give them 5 abilities, right? It's not hard to balance 5 abilities.
No, just make it an absolute mess. It'll be the most fun you'll ever have in Frontline. Just ultra vibration on all of like the entirety of the twin adders being frozen in place. Oh, give me that. Give me that any day. Let me shatter their hopes and dreams.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. When they announced limited jobs, like with Blue Mage, I feel like it came like deflated on arrival, because when you name something limited job, it doesn't really even have an appeal to it as much as you would think it would.
I was surprised we got a second one, because I did think that Blue Mage as an experiment was an overall failure. So I was a bit surprised to see that we did end up getting a second one.
Yeah.
Part of me thought they would have just baked Blue Mage somehow back into the main game a bit more at some point. I was kind of expecting that to happen, even if it's unbalanced. Like, I would be fine seeing Blue Mages pop up in my normal trial roulette. Just ban it from Raid Finder content, like Pinnacle content, like Savage and Ultimate and stuff.
Well,
like,
I mean,
I don't care if it's fun. Do it. Who cares? You know.
Is Blue Mage gone, development wise? It's just they're not going to do anything.
Wasn't it supposed to be Blue Mage content this year? Was it not? In this expansion?
I don't know.
It traditionally comes in 0.45, right? I think.
Yeah.
So
at the
it
same
should
time
be
as
next
Beast?
patch if it's on brand.
Or they're just going to do Beastmaster and not do anything with Blue Mage anymore.
That would suck though, because why have it there in the first place? Why add more to it? It's just a horrible number that I have to look at every time I press my character window and see it less than the others. If it's got no content, I want the option to remove it from my character like jobs list. If there was a quest, oh sorry, this is here, do you want to remove it? I'd say yes right now.
I mean, it's a content bloat thing, right? I mean, if they just have all these old pieces of content, like what about Guild Heist? You know, are we ever gonna see it?
Yeah, they're gone. No. Let it go, brother. They're gone.
Who knows, dude?
I'm surprised they're even still in the game. Like, what?
Chocobo Racing, to be honest with you, hasn't been touched in a very long time either.
I'm a bit sad about that. I think Chocobo Racing's fun.
I thought Lord of Dominion had like some possibility to it, right? But
maybe
Lord of Dominion, it could have been. It could have been okay.
Could have. Yeah, maybe.
Squadrons, yeah, other pieces of just like completely dead content that still exists in the game that people can touch, but it's not advertised anywhere. And it's something that you can do, and I feel like maybe that will be the fate of Blue Mage at some point. I mean, they can't just keep developing content for all this new stuff they're making. They have to just like leave it alone, or they're not going to cut it out.
Deep Dungeon is the perfect example of where Blue Mage would be in its element. Make it have its own standing separate from the rest of the ladder, so it won't affect people working on that, and let people go in there and have some fun. Like,
I mean, true.
Don't give them Necromancer, like, sure, because it's probably easier to get through or whatever, but give him something else.
Yeah. Blue Mancer. What do you call it?
Blue Mancer.
I don't know what you'd call change that. Not
Dead job.
dead. Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. Okay. Well, I mean, like Beastmaster is something I'm excited. I mean, this was the plague of this expansion too, is all this stuff was announced so early and delivered on so late.
Yeah.
And
Or not delivered on.
yeah, they have to, like, when they announce some of this stuff, they have to, like, some of it needs to come out before 2 years. I think
FF14 has, like, maybe I'm crazy, but I've never thought that FF14 doesn't have enough content. I think it has a great amount of content, for me at least. The
really
problem
does.
is they release it at, like, the worst times they could possibly imagine. They're like, okay, so we have a really cool new expansion launch that we want people to be excited about. Let's make sure it has no longevity whatsoever by including no long-time content. And instead we'll release it a year later. To me, it's as simple as you want to make people excited about the expansion early, so something like Occult Crescent should come out in 0.1, something like the base Relic Quest should come out with the expansion itself, something like these like really exciting updates like that people would care about, like Quantum, should be considered for the first half of the expansion, rather than what we have a situation of nowadays, or this expansion in particular, where almost everything exciting comes out in 0.4 and 0.5. And 1, 2, and 3 are often not very content dense patches. I mean, obviously 2 we got some stuff here, but we've got in 3, 4, 5 we've got Deep Dungeon, Ultimate, Criterion, or Variant. We've got a second Occult Crescent coming out in 0.5. We have an Occult Crescent raid coming out in 0.5. In each of those patches we have Cosmic Exploration. What else do we have? A Blue Mage update, an entire new job in Beastmaster. All of this shit's in 2 patches.
Oh, and then
like,
new relic upgrade stage as well on top of that.
Yeah. I mean, like, in the next year, I have 5 events for races to plan for that would be significant. I mean, like, you know, Criterion's always kind of weird, but I mean, it's still something that's exciting to do and watch and see. But you have the Q40, you have Variant, you have Savage, you have Ultimate, and you have the new Fork Tower. So it's like,
and it's really interesting stuff. Reasons to be excited about the game, and I feel
really
like
cool
we
ideas.
might have managed to avoid a lot of this really negative PR spiral if some of this stuff had come out already. You know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, and this was the hardest expansion that Square Enix is going to have to deal with, because it was right after all of the hype from Shadowbringers into Endwalker trailed off, and this was literally like they had to kind of float on their own with this expansion. They didn't have that crazy WoW situation happen and COVID and everything else to springboard off of. They had to actually do some stuff to keep people on, and I feel like Yoshida said this plenty of times. They started to just kind of feel safe in the development side and not take as many risks. Because it was so easy to like hold people in that kind of burst of excitement from things that Square Enix didn't do, right? They just had their base game and they just created it, and people came in with a wealth of content, and that didn't get followed up on as much in Dawn Trail. And so, yeah, they have to start making some choices. You know, if they want to do a Realm reborn, I'd be down with it too. I'd be okay, but
It's going to all come down to FanFest, isn't it? How they promote the next expansion, because a lot of the Dawn Trail FanFest stuff that was talked about, as you said, they just didn't deliver on soon enough. So they need to focus less on, look at this. Wow, is this? Well, you remember the boss that they made a big deal of, and it turned out to just be the end boss of one of the first.
They do that every
dungeons?
time. They do that every
It's
time.
So annoying. It's so annoying.
They show like
these come out swinging, you know?
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. It's always like just a dungeon boss. You're like going, and it feels so surreal because you're just going through the dungeon. You're like, it's just a normal dungeon. It doesn't feel like hard. It doesn't feel like anything. And then it's like it's over, and you're like, this guy didn't feel like it. He's gone. He's done. This thing that was hyped up over months and months and months is gone. He's just out. you know, probably in
You do have to say though, like one thing. Obviously, we're British, so like we like to have a little fucking whine and moan. It's kind of in our culture, but I feel quite positively in my hopes for the future about the game, specifically because it feels like they've acknowledged some of the passivity that they've embodied over the last few years, and more than that, some of the bigger issues with the game, specifically about, I think one of the big problems with the game, which is something they acknowledged, is there's a lot of different people that play this game, and most of them do not interact with a lot of the content. And them outright coming and saying it, and saying that our goal is to get more people to interact with each piece of content that we come out by making it so that it attracts people from every corner of the game. I think that's a really good mentality to have. Obviously, we see if they do it or not, but I think that them just being aware that this is a thing they should be really honing in on and considering doing is enough for me to not be too worried about the future right now. You know what I mean?
You know what I like about this conversation we're having? We're pretty fucking civil. Right?
Yeah.
I feel like we're giving decent criticism back, and we're not doing like the horrible stuff that Yoshida made a post about, saying, hey, or he said in an interview, I think, it's like, hey guys, we're human, you don't have to tell us we're the worst people in the world. All right? Because they can get
it's far from the end of the world. It's a video game, and people who take it beyond that are idiots, quite frankly. They need to take a strong look at themselves. And
there's two reasons to do that.
It's ridiculous.
Right? Well, I mean, death threat, that's a completely different thing. But like,
really weird. It's
really good to jump on the super hard hate, because metric wise, it works out pretty well. The other part is, you know, actually believing that stuff. And this is what they see. This is what the developers see. And I know it's not our problem, but when you're just spouting bullshit out there and being really angry for literally because that feels like the right thing to do, it doesn't really do the game any good at all. Have civil conversations, and I mean, literally say, hey, things are fucked up. You probably should do something about it, but holy crap, if this game fails, my life's going forward. You know, it's not like I'm stopping.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, to be blunt, it ain't that deep, right? I think it's okay to feel that the game is going in a direction you don't like and detach from it and go do something else with your life. And it's also okay to voice that you're not enjoying it right now and these things. But I think when you enter this death spiral of essentially abusing people who don't have the same opinion as you, or of attempting to make other people feel like gaslight people into feeling that their stance is wrong for not feeling the same as you, or basically to literally just harass people, which is a thing that is happening right now in the community. I think you just have to understand it's just a video game. Just move on with your day. Like, you can criticize it. In fact, you should criticize it. Yoshida himself even says you should criticize the game if you want to. But I mean, the cardinal rule is don't be a prick about it, right? And if you are, then I think you should look to yourself and
reprioritize.
See if the way that you're criticizing things gives you any kind of joy. Because if it doesn't, you should probably find something that does.
Yeah, and just dealing with just living in that like hate, man, just does so much horrible shit for you as a person, like mentally. It's not even just like the people you're affecting. That really fucks you up. I mean, unless if you're just an evil, horrible person. I'm sure there's people out there who are evil, horrible, who don't get affected by being a piece of shit. But usually living in that kind of like rage state fucks you up a lot. And
I can't relate to it. I have no idea how you can be so hateful with something. Like you said, criticism is important, it is encouraged, but when you cross the line, how do you sleep at night with that kind of
just frustration
mentality? It's like, this is not good for you, anyone near you. Like, I feel sorry for the people that have to put up with that person in real life, because they are probably not going to be nice to be around.
Oh, yeah.
If that's how they're acting in a video game, like, Jesus Christ, man, go touch some fucking grass.
Yeah. but you know, I hope, and I do feel bad because Square Enix is in a position to where this stuff matters, right? While I will, my life will go on. I know that they want the game to succeed. They want it to do well, and they want to, because it's their livelihood. They need to make money off of it, right? They need it to be a successful business, and give Final Fantasy all the shit you want. It's not as bad as a lot of really money grubby like games out there. It's not as polluted with all the like real negative business tactics out there. It has some, but it's not like nearly as bad as a lot. So you have to feel there is some sort of pride about working on a Final Fantasy 14 or Final Fantasy 14 at all, but Final Fantasy title in general. It's like this is something they want to do, and they want to do a good job, and they want it to succeed, and be proud of it. And I know I feel that from Yoshida a lot. And I know, again, he's a CEO, he's a spokesperson, he's supposed to say things to look good. You know, but every single time I meet him, he seems like a completely like good person.
Yeah, down to earth. Right? Mostly down to earth and understanding,
Yeah. And I mean, there's probably a difference between him talking to a creator versus him talking to someone on his staff. I don't see that, but I assume it's not as horrible as a lot of other companies out there. But
well, you would know.
I think you? For like for people that are obviously nervous about the future of FF14, I think that patch 7.35, which is set to come out in a month, is actually a very impactful patch for FF14's future, specifically because they've been on record saying that they are hard committing to the quantum system of scalable difficulty. They're planning it to be their big thing. The first iteration of that comes out in a month. I hope that it'll be received much better than, for example, Occult Crescent was when it came out, and Forked Tower. I think that the reception to this piece of content is kind of gonna set the tone for the rest of 7.x.
Hey man,
basically.
I said the same thing about Occult Crescent.
Really?
100%. And we have a show right before it came out. It's like the game's doing all right, but a lot depends on Occult Crescent.
Yeah, and Occult Crescent was a bit of a nightmare for them, right?
It was like, just lukewarm. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't bad. It was like lukewarm, not like what we were wanting. There's systems that they flopped on that they shouldn't have flopped on with getting into Forked Tower and everything else. But it just wasn't content that pushed the game forward.
It was more of the same. It was a copy paste, basically, of a cross between Eureka and Bosja, and really not much else was really added.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that different.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, I feel like I need to make this clear too. The game is important to me. I mean, obviously, I've been doing this for like 10 years, and it's a big part of my life. If it sucks, I'm still playing this game though, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But I'm not going to be upset, and my life isn't going to be ruined if I feel like the quality has like gone down a bit. And I will probably play it a little bit less. I'm probably never going to go anywhere. I mean, at this point, I'm just so locked into this game. I can't see myself just quitting unless there's something really horrible happens. But
what's the alternative? You know what I mean? Like, the grass is not greener any way you look, or at least from my perspective. Yeah. All you hear is people saying, oh, but this game's doing this, and they promised to do this with housing. And then you see a post recently where they went back on that, and then suddenly the world's gone crazy again. It's like, well, yeah, told you. Do you know the track record of a lot of these other MMOs is pretty much the same, right?
Yeah.
Or worse.
Yeah. But what is more of really to say is even though like it's such a big deal to me, like this game, it has been a huge part of my life. I feel like the when you let it poison you with just little things like the quality going down and just the standard life cycle of the game, it's there are other things to prioritize that are more healthy in your life. And it will make a huge difference if you try to like change your focus on this game being so drastically important that it succeeds and does really well. I want it to, but we gotta give ourselves some breathing room and find something else to be upset about.
You got to set your expectations low and be surprised when they're better. You just have to.
Yeah.
Because if you expect the big changes to be truly big, then you might be fooling yourself a little bit.
Yeah. But anyways, you know,
Still very positive.
I've changed a lot of my perception over the years, right? I feel like I've grown a lot as a person too. You know, I used to get angry over little things and stuff, and over like the video games and the quality of stuff. But I don't know. I've kind of gotten over. I enjoy just talking about it and talking to people who are still passionate too. But I don't want to make things worse by overreacting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyways, that being said, I am looking forward to a 3.5. I think it's going to be exciting. I'm going to put on a production in some way and try to figure out how to make that to work for the world race for it. It's the weirdest one because it's like 2 races. You have the, solo clear first, and then you have the Q40 race happening at the same time. And so it's going to be kind of an awkward thing, but it's going to be fun to try to track and see how it works out. And I'm looking forward to it. I mean, do you guys anticipate it taking more than a day for both of those things?
Ooh.
Mine or individually?
Yeah, like would like for the first time to clear the full thing once. Oh, that'll be done very quickly.
Well, the solo first of Pilgrim's Traverse.
That'll take like a day.
I mean, it took one attempt last time. Yeah. So I mean, we'll see. And the solo day
Q40 is going to be the real race, isn't it? Let's be honest.
You think it's going to be more than a day for Q40?
Yeah.
I think so. They said it's going to be roughly a 10-minute fight with ultimate level mechanics. I could see it taking 2.
It's 4 players, though, right?
Yeah.
You're coordinating 4 players.
I think, yeah.
It's personal responsibility, though.
I reckon late day 2 we'll probably see a kill.
Okay.
And that's late day 2, including the having to clear the deep dungeon first.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay.
I think that the solo will be really quick. Like you will hardly even have to cover that probably.
I mean, the solo, it depends on what they throw in there. Yeah. If they throw a whole bunch of gotcha mechanics in there, because solo clear only counts if it's start and finish. And so once the first wipe happens, it's another 9 hours, 10 hours up. So it's like there's going to be 2 to 3 attempts, and then after that, if the clear doesn't happen, it's day 2. Right?
I still think it will be done like within the first day easily.
I mean, it probably could, especially if like the groups go ahead of the solo players and they figure out these things, then solo players can kind of look at that and figure it out.
I think it depends almost entirely on how they decide to design the quantum specifically, right? I think, as somebody said in chat, and they're definitely right, like we know that you're going to use atypical weapons in the quantum, which means 1 clear probably won't be enough. You'll probably have to do at least 2 to overall in terms of time investment to get like 99.99, which I'm assuming you'll probably need for the ultimate level quantum, right?
Is it going to be based off of weapon?
Based off atypical.
They said. Did they say specifically it is that unique weapon that will be applied to the attempts of the Q40?
Yeah, let me find it 1 sec. I have it somewhere. 1 minute.
Because that would be kind of crazy. And that would open up a whole new level of challenges too, right? Because you could challenge yourself by having a weaker weapon to try to get
more people to clear the content. Won't they do what they're doing on this patch on Tuesday where they're buffing Palace of the Dead so Ether Ball's easier to get? Now, bearing that in mind, won't they also do the same thing comparatively to Eureka Orthos and things like that? Won't it make it so that you don't have to do multiple runs to go all the way through if you were your first time? Because the idea was to get the casuals immediately through, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
So this is a post from the forums from an SE community rep. One of the development team, an SE as well, is the person that asked them to reply. They said, "Hello, to clarify, since the final verse Quantum is considered part of the Deep Dungeon, there will be no eye level restrictions. Player will enter battle using the Aether Pool gear enhanced through Pilgrim's Traverse." So your Aether Pool level is what is factored in for the Quantum.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Other than real gear. So basically, it's expected you need 99.99 to do the ultimate difficulty, right? Which is going to elongate the race a bit because people are probably going to need to do a second run to get there.
Yeah, I don't know. that seems just like an artificial. We're not used to that in the Final Fantasy 14 community, I guess. Having to level up your gear to actually get it clear, right? Unless if it's like a you self nerf to do it. Okay, well, we'll see. If they do have to do two full runs of it, maybe that's about 10 to 12 hours of leveling your gear.
No, I doubt that there'll be. I doubt it'll take more than 2 runs. Not especially with the way that they're looking at getting people through this that have not normally before.
And now I do want to mention again, the end of Eureka Orthos was cleared with just a warrior, I think, all the way through without everything being leveled up at all. Like, they didn't have to level up everything. The solo
can't
clear.
imagine the Deep Dungeons will require it.
Yeah.
I think it's just specifically the ultimate difficulty
Oh,
Quantum
yeah.
that I'm expecting will need high level.
Oh god!
Just in terms of like the sheer DPS checks, right? Because it gives you flat damage when you level your Aether Pool. So I think that's probably what they'll decide as the tuning system for the ultimate. Let's say the ultimate, like the Q40.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for letting me know. Now I have to think about that a bit. But no, I think this has been really fun to go over, and I've been like aching to talk about it because I haven't had a MogTalk in like over a month. And so it means a lot that you guys have come on to kind of talk about a whole bunch of this stuff too. And I need to have them every once in a while, but I've just been so busy. I probably won't have another MogTalk for, I don't think I'll have another MogTalk for another month or so until until Q40 is over. Because we have the creator event that's happening in 2 weeks from now. We have 2 weeks after that, likely will be the Q40 race. I think. I mean, we don't know for sure, but that's the assumption on the timeline, right?
Yeah, it should be like late September to early October, right? For Deep Dungeon, that's what I'm assuming.
It'll probably be October to tie in with the Monster Hunter thing, right?
Oh yeah. They confirmed it for
probably
October
throw it
because
at
of the
the
Monster
same
Hunters.
time.
Then yeah.
But is it being released at the same time, or are they going to release the 3.5 and then give it a week and then put Monster Hunter out?
Imagine if it was at the same time.
It'd be kind of silly because Monster Hunter. Then the Monster Hunter event's just overlooked completely.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe a week or two, like gap between the two.
Yeah, because there's going to be so much publicity going on the Deep Dungeon, especially since Yoshida's already encouraged the race in a way. I don't know, maybe it was a joking comment. There's been a couple of conversations about that, but he's already mentioned it to inspire people. I know there's already people out there hard at work to compete and to get the first clears on both of these.
It is a huge patch, actually, isn't it? 3.5. I just remembered Hildebrand's part of that as well.
I haven't done Hildebrand in so long.
0.3, I'm going to be real. I think 0.35 is the bigger patch.
Yeah, I think, it's bigger than the main patch.
Well, I mean, it had Alliance Raid and an Extreme, which I'm having fun with the Extreme, I've enjoyed the Extreme a lot, especially in Party Finder.
The Extreme's fun.
Getting sucked up by that hand, and getting weird healer limit breaks to recover in that fight's a lot of fun.
And I heard that people were very happy with the 7.3 MSQ as well. I haven't played it, so I don't know.
Yeah,
but I've heard
good.
people were very happy with it.
It was good.
That might have been the first one I enjoyed of Dawn Trail, like fully.
I'm still pretty good with the last half of like the main story quest and the expansion.
Yeah, the last half.
Yeah, I'm fine with how that went. So I did really. I'm gonna let you know, like when I get on, I'm the type of player who can just sit there and just join Party Finder and do a fight I already know, over and over and over again, and just enjoy myself doing this kind of content. I'm pretty easy to please, and I think it's like just my enjoyment of going into Party Finder, and it's always a mess, and I play healer, and it's just fun to just kind of react to stuff and try to fix situations. This game's a lot of fun to me in the few hours I have a week at the moment to play it, but I limit my scope of what I'm actually doing too. So anyways, guys, thank you. Sorry, I was talking about. Thank you for coming on and talking about all this stuff with me. And there's a lot more to probably talk about too. Who knows? Over the next couple of weeks, we'll probably have a ton more to talk about. But this show probably won't be back until after Q40 is done, because I have to plan for 2 events in the meantime. So I don't know. Do you guys have any other things that you want to talk about before we start wrapping up the show? Anything that we might have missed?
There's another patch coming this Tuesday. We're
Yeah.
going to a new planet for Cosmic. All they have to do is not do what they did before for the moon and be more engaging to players. You know, make it so that fates to level up your world can't fail. That would be nice. So Dynamis and Oceanic don't get screwed again. That would be lovely. Make it so that level 10 players, which is what they focused on supposedly to actually engage with the crafting and gathering, can actually have something to do. That would be nice. So we'll wait and see how that goes, but hopefully it's better than the moon, right? Did you do any of that?
Nope.
No.
I dodged that, dude.
I have a bit of a. It used to be a love-hate relationship with crafting in this game, but more recently it's a bit more of a hate-hate relationship. So I decided not to engage. So I haven't done cosmic exploration yet.
I don't have the time to do the things that I enjoy, so I'm not going to dedicate time to things that I don't enjoy.
Fair play.
So I do want to make it clear to anyone who is confused, I love this game a lot, and I'm very content with a lot of things about this game. I think overall this has been a great expansion, but there's been valid reasons to be upset, of course, but not as upset as people have been getting. So in case anyone was confused, I feel like there's a handful of people who might have been confused on that, but it's so weird, dude. Talking about this game and people misconstruing like things that you're saying. But okay, yeah, and the other thing is Relic Step. Who knows what that's going to be?
Tomestones.
I really hope not.
Don't say that. No,
There'll be a first time thing, right? There'll be a first time thing where it's like collect 4 of these weird things that drop 1% chance, and then the rest of it will just be disappointing tomestones, and I'll be going, well, that's boring.
Yeah,
I'll still do them
I
anyway.
have faith that they won't do tomestones. I'm a hoper.
Oh, in this situation you are.
In
this situation, it's not a wait and see, huh? This one, you're confident there could be a good chance at least.
I'm a hooper.
So I will say that I haven't completed my relic yet. It's a little annoying to do because I have like 6 of one stone and like 1 of a couple other stones, and I'm just like, man, I just want to go over here and do my fate.
Are you still in the first phase?
Yeah, I have it. I'm still in the first one. Yeah. Because I haven't. If I put more time into it, I'm sure I'd be off of it. And if I actually did dedicate my time to doing fates that I knew would give me the right ones, I'd be okay.
Yeah,
but
definitely do the open world. Don't go into the content. If you only need like 1 or 2 left, don't do a Court Crescent. You're wasting your time because the fate spawn rate in those areas is just too low in comparison to going to like Living Memory or wherever you need.
Well, I needed to finish my leveling too. I didn't finish my leveling in Court Crescent until recently.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So now I will probably go and do open world fates to kind of level it. I mean, I don't have much time. But I mean, I can go back. It's fine. I just won't do it when it's released. But all right, well, guys, this has been great. I'm glad you came on. And again, sorry for the late notice on the invite. I appreciate your willingness to come on so quickly. And I know it's a completely different time for you guys as well. But you know, the goal of MogTalk and how I scheduled it is so it's on the weekend and people from EU could come on, and it might get late, but at least it's Saturday. You know?
Yeah, it's the weekend.
Yeah, it's okay. But both of you are going to be in our content creator beach showdown coming up in a couple weeks too. Are you guys excited for that?
Excited to kiss the floor. Quite honestly, dude, expectations, I'm gonna get completely bodied, but I'm looking forward to it.
Some people are going to get bodied for sure.
Yeah.
I need to learn how to play PvP all over again.
I need to do
it's been like
some
years
PvP
since
on
I played,
US.
but it should be fun.
I mean, that's the point, though, is that, you know, you guys are going up against other content creators, and for the majority outside of like a handful of the creators, everyone's about the same low level of experience with PvP, and so it's supposed to be just a horrible mess. There's a couple teams that are trying a little harder, but every single team was balanced in a way, at least as best as I could, to where there's some that are kind of skilled, and there's some that's never played at all.
It's going to be a spectacle, if nothing else, right?
That's what I'm hoping, you know. And it's been a real fun thing to try to figure out and coordinate. A lot of learning for me personally, but we haven't really done anything like this in the community where we just got a whole bunch of fucking content creators together to do a charity event like this. So I'm really excited about it. But yeah, look forward to that. Everybody who's watching right now will be back on this channel in 2 weeks, letting you know, a lot of content creator violence happen here on screen.
Oh, it's going to be a bloodbath, and it's going to be glorious.
All right. Well, before we leave, I want to give you guys a second to say anything else you want to say, and shout outs, whatever, and where people can find you and everything else. And I guess I'll start here with Meoni. Would you mind going first?
I'm no longer a melon. It's amazing. I've leveled up.
I like melon stuff.
You can find me on YouTube. I'm looking forward to this middle patch 7.31 this Tuesday, so there'll be lots of content going out on the YouTube channel for that. Yeah, basically looking forward to 7.35 like everyone else. It's going to be the biggest patch, and that's what everyone is looking forward to. You know, the Deep Dungeon is going to be a huge source of stuff to look at, so very excited about the future of the game, and it all hinges on that. So
it all hinges. If it falls apart, the game's dead. Just unsubscribe, you know.
Well, the way the content's designed in the game hinges on it, so it's a pivotal moment, and it could crash and burn, and they could go back to what they did before, and that's fine. But yeah, I'm excited for that. So thank you so much for letting me on again. It's always a pleasure, Frosty, and to talk to Rin again as well. Always a pleasure to be here. So thank you.
Yeah, of course. Rinon?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on. It was very fun. I always enjoy a good yap. If you want to find me on YouTube, I'm sure you can search my name and it will appear there. For me, at least, mostly, I'm looking forward to the new Deep Dungeon and the Quantum, and I really hope they pull it off. I'm excited to see what they do, basically. But yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. And again, it's been a pleasure to have both of you here. And I appreciate all the people who are watching right now coming to come and hear us yap. As Ron said, it means a lot. That's what we do here. It's MogTalk. And it's a lot of fun to kind of do these shows. And I'm hoping to get more going after Q40 is done. But I want to put a lot of focus into this content creator bash, because it's just something that has been a brainworm that I have to like take care of. And be done with it. And then we also have the Q40 thing that's happening, which is a whole nother experimental thing sort of on its own as well. So I have to put a lot of focus to that, so I can't put as much into MogTalks, but right after that's done, we'll have at least a 2 to 3 month break before Savage, and then I can get some more MogTalks in there and a lot of things discussed probably before we get our next event going. So thank you guys for bearing with that. You can also catch me on the stream too if you want to on Tuesday and Thursday nights. I'm doing stupid party finder stuff usually. Not too much streaming, just for a couple hours each if you want to come by and say hi. Yeah, I guess that's it, guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being so awesome. And until next time, be good, keep cool, stay frosty. Bye, everybody. Say bye.
Bye.
Bye.